Iro Daniels. Thank you so much for joining us. Nigeria is bleeding. In just 1 week, 315 students and teachers were abducted from a Catholic school in Niger. 25 schoolgirls abducted in Kebbi. A church in Kwara was attacked and several worshippers abducted. You could literally see a mother trying to save her child, an old woman who could barely run fighting for her life. That video was highly horrifying. A high-ranking army general was killed by ISWAP fighters in Bono. Now, these are not just numbers. They are everyday Nigerians like you and I in a country where we are supposed to call home. People are afraid. People don't even want to travel anymore. And not everyone can afford armed private security and convoys. And even at that, I can tell you that your safety is still not guaranteed. Section 14, subsection 2B of the Nigerian Constitution states very clearly that the security and the welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of the government. Emphasis on primary purpose. I cannot believe that we're back to saying bring back our girls in 2025. Even some of the Chibok girls are still missing after 11 years. What has become of our beloved nation? We need actions, not headlines. We need justice, not amnesty for repentant terrorists. We want a nation where we can call home again. Now, these are my personal thoughts, and we are going to discuss the state of the nation. With me in the studio is a lawyer, Wale Oshunde. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Hero.
It's been a very trying time for a lot of Nigerians, and I mean, this did not just happen from nowhere. It has been happening years and years. It got to a point that when you hear that people have been abducted or people have been kidnapped, it's just like, oh yes, it's another news. What do you make of the state of the nation currently?
I mean, I think before I answer your question directly, our heart goes out to the families, that have lost loved ones in this very, very dastardly, unfortunate, and, if you like, avoidable or preventable, acts or situations. It's really sad. And, these are heart-wrenching, horrendous, absolutely unpleasant and obnoxious situations in our country. Our heart goes out, to all of these people who have lost loved ones directly. I feel really sad for the government of the day, because just when, they were beginning to count some gains, to the experience over how many years that, this current government has come into office, now we are beginning to see these attacks come back again. Yeah. And just like you said, 11 years after they bring back our girls, the Chibok girls, now we are beginning to also see some other really unfortunate situations coming out of, the country.
So where are we getting it wrong? You did mention that you feel sad for the government of the day, but I mean, they came into power on the promise of we're going to fix things. We are going to do better. We are going to ensure the safety of lives and properties. So why the sadness?
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, I just feel sad because, just when the government is beginning to see a semblance of economic growth and what have you, and just when the US president, some weeks ago came out to say, hey, I'm going to invade the country for, acts such as this, right? And specifically genocide against Christians and what have you, which the government of the day is still trying to refute. Now you're beginning to see killings coming out of the northern area of Nigeria. And again, it probably just would send some notes to some people, foreign governments specifically, that, look, we're getting it right. We're telling you exactly what is happening in your country, but now you're saying, these things are not real. Now you have another case of bring back our girls. It's really sad. It's really painful that we're experiencing this as a country. But I think that the government has really got to sit up and address the fundamental issues in the country. There is massive insecurity in the country. We just then need to tell ourselves the core truths. Let's stop trying to defend things when they happen. what have we got to do as a people to stop these senseless killings, these obnoxious and very horrendous situations coming out of our country? It is not good in terms of narratives for investors, even for the experience that people have in the country. And the government has got to really sit right on the table. I know the security agencies are doing their best, but look, can we do more? Can we do better? Can we ensure that these things do not happen again? They are stopped once and for all. Nigerians don't really want to hear stories anymore. You know, nobody wants to hear stories. We are working, we are trying, we are moving, we are shaking.
Right.
No, what Nigerians really want to see at this point in time is that there is an absolute stop, end to all these senseless and really horrendous killings.
All right, so...
And kidnappings, all right?
This is not even about political parties. Now, we're going to look beyond the divide of whether this is APC, PDP, what have you, because we've seen that in several dispensations, including when the PDP was in power and when currently... Now, of course, APC is currently in power. We have consistently seen a pattern on the rise. And the patterns I'm talking about is these things happen, there is no repercussion, there is no justice served. We see situations where the Nigerian government with their proxies are negotiating with terrorists. We've seen situations where popular terrorists, even with guns, you know, come out and they're granting media interviews and saying, okay, we're repentant. We've seen governments make outfits for repentant terrorists and say, oh, we're trying to see how we can rehab them and then later absorb them into the society. So a situation like that, where it's like, for some people, they might interpret it as you are encouraging terrorism. It's the biggest business right now, and kidnapping is a big business right now. What message does it send to the people that want to bring this nation down when they know that they can get away sometimes with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you nailed it 100%, Hero. Look, government has got to sit up and send examples to the rest of the world, right? To these people that are even perpetrating these acts, right? We are not going to condone any form of, you know, criminality in our country. And we should not negotiate with anybody. If you're a terrorist, nobody should negotiate with you. If you're a kidnapper, a bandit, nobody should negotiate with you. I think the law should start taking its course. It's very simple. We have robust laws to try people that have committed these offenses, that have committed these crimes. And I do not think any right-thinking society should condone these acts. So right now, I think what we really need to do, and you see, sometimes when I hear that some government officials or even some members of the society know where terrorists are, they know where bandits are, they know where kidnappers are, and our security agencies are not going after them to get them and bring them to book, bring them to justice. It baffles me. Like, I'm really so surprised, you know, because no serious-minded society would function that way. You see a criminal, you see a thief, you see a kidnapper, you see a killer, all right, a murderer, and you would not go after them and bring them to book. That is a joke. And that's exactly why the government has got to sit down right now, and we all congregate at that juncture where we strengthen the apparatus of government and the state towards ensuring that those perpetrating criminality in our country, they are arrested, they are prosecuted, and they are brought to justice.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a bid to ensure that he really deals with this decisively, changed the service chiefs. It is not a move that is very new for a president, a sitting president. I think even late Muhammadu Buhari also changed service chief, you know. Commander-in-chiefs, every now and then they change the service chief in order to bring in perhaps some sort of change in the structure. Now, there have been some online viral videos where you even see military officers complain that before they get to where these terrorists already have information about their coming. So, do you have any idea of what is really going on, even within the system itself? Because I genuinely think, and this is a personal opinion, by the way, that the military, they are really trying their best. But I feel like a house divided against itself cannot stand, and there might just be forces within the military. Do you think there are forces within the military that maybe are giving information to these terrorists?
To be honest with you, I think, yes, sabotage is present, all right? There is this form or element or shape of sabotage in the system, not only within the military, even in the police, even in the political space, all right? Some people are definitely sabotaging the effort of government and government officials. Let's not make any mistake about that. Even sometimes, some people have said that even foreign governments or foreign elements, you know, are also bringing certain twists and dynamics into this whole fray. But look, I think the point is, if you are a service chief, you've got your job well cut out for you. And you have to crack it. You just have to find a way to make this thing work. It's just like making you the MD of a company, and the company is not doing so well. By the time you take over the reins of affairs, what you want to do is to fix it, not complain, all right? So if you've taken a job, the expectation is so high, and you know that Nigerians are yearning for change. I mean true change, all right? They want things to get better for their people. They want things to get better for the country. We even want the narrative to be better, because if you travel out of this country now, you know, some people have tagged us, you know, as certain kinds of people that we are not, okay? And we need to change the narrative. We need to attract more investors. There are a lot of things, no-brainers, all right, that can make quick gains, low-hanging fruits that can really help the country right now. I think the service chiefs, our political office holders, our government officials, our leaders in this country, they've got to really congregate at a juncture where they tell themselves the real truth, the pain points. They know what exactly the problems are. They have heard from the people they can see on television every day. They can hear from radio. Okay, we all scream these things. But what are they doing? What are they really going to do? Let's not play politics. And please, if you know anyone who is playing politics, who is trying to sabotage the efforts of government, government officials, military, police, all our security agencies, call them out. Nigerians are definitely going to support, you know, the government if we begin to hear 4, 5, 10, 20, 50 names, okay, that these are the people that are sabotaging the efforts of the government and, you know, our security apparatus in the country, and they are not doing what they should do. They should call them out, and Nigerians will definitely back the government. But if you are helping some people, you are even sitting with terrorists, eating with them, dining with them, and then, you know, protecting them in some instances, we are not going to move anywhere, and we'll be joking, okay? And then killings will go on, kidnapping would go on, banditry will go on, you know, even clashes between farmers and herders and all of those things would go on, and our country would definitely pay for it.
Let's talk about the timing of all of this. When President Donald Trump made that tweet, the stock market, the Nigerian stock market fell.
Yeah. Because
investors needed to pull out their money. Then we are now seeing almost as if there's a rise in all of these kidnappings just right after that. Yeah. And then, of course, recently the proscribed leader of the IPOB, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, has now been sentenced to life imprisonment. What do you make of this entire situation? And what do you make of the timing? Because, of course, we know that we're talking about the entire Southeast and the feelings of the entire Southeast. What do you make of the entire timing of everything happening at the same time?
So, you see, to be honest with you, the Nnamdi Kanu situation is another kettle of fish entirely. For me, there is a reason why we have the courts. I'm a lawyer. And, you know, I'm a minister in the Temple of Justice, all right? If this particular court, I mean the Federal High Court, has deemed it fit to sentence him, you know, to life imprisonment, if Mazen Nnamdi Kanu feels that he is not guilty, you know, as sentenced, he has a right to appeal within 90 days, you know, to the Court of Appeal. I would say that if he feels strongly about the sentence, he should, of course, explore his rights within the law by appealing, you know, to the Court of Appeal. But again, looking at what has happened or what has played out on television, all right, and the news reports that we're getting out of the courts, I think that he probably should not have tried to defend himself. He is not a lawyer, to the best of my knowledge, and he has access, you know, to legal representation. People who really understand the process, the court process, okay? He should have allowed them, you know, take up the challenge and follow the process of, you know, justice in the system or in the country to the latter. He then said, no, he's not going to do that. He wants to represent himself. Of course, under the law, he has that right to equally represent himself. But again, looking at some clips, you know, playing out of court, sometimes he would get angry, it will cast aspersions on the person of the judge. That is not the way people should conduct themselves in the courts. And this is me being very brutally honest with everyone, with you, okay? Regardless of whatever the situation is in court, you don't abuse the judge, you don't cast aspersions on the judiciary and the system or the structure or the institution, okay? You can take your anger or your pain points upstairs, through the proper channels of elevation within our, judicial hierarchy.
Okay.
So, but I think that the judge has made this pronouncement. If he's not satisfied, he has every right to challenge that.
Okay, so there are already questions about the independence of the judicial system in the first place. And I can understand within the confines of what the rule of law says in Nigeria, let the courts do what they have to do. However, you cannot also take away the fact that this man is from a particular region, and there's a sentiment from that particular region, from the southeast. Yeah. There is a sentiment on ground. A lot of people are saying, you give amnesty to terrorists. Now, this man that you're talking about, we've never found a gun with him. He's just saying that we want the Southeasterners to be independent, away from Nigeria. So, and you are charging him on terrorism. So, what I'm trying to say, how does that impact on the national unity, especially at a time like this, where we all have to come together?
So, I get your point 100%. For me, I think that there can be a political solution to it. However, the fact that we are looking at it as a southeastern issue, for me, I don't believe that is correct. It is one man that has been charged to court, all right? And if we begin to look at every situation, from a geopolitical perspective, we will definitely get things wrong in this country. It then means that for that Yoruba guy that is charged, to court for theft, everybody from the southwest would then say, oh, he's from the southwest, so do something. For that political criminal that is charged from the north central, we would all say, oh, it's a north central issue. No, I do not think we should move that way. As a country, we have rules, we have laws, and it is individuals that should be blamed for whatever criminal or whatever issues that they are being accused of, all right? And then they should be taken to court, they should be prosecuted. Even if terrorists are captured today, bandits, kidnappers, they would be dealt with, on a case-by-case basis, not on the account of where they have come from. Okay, I do not think we should play that politics, and I don't want to join people to, discuss things of such nature. He is an independent person. Right. He has been arrested. He has been prosecuted. He should face the justice system. If he feels that, he's not happy with what has been passed or handed down, at the Federal High Court, he has every right under the law to appeal till it gets to the Supreme Court, and then he's able to really rest his case, All right. As the case may be.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Wale. This has been a very enlightening session, and please do enjoy the rest of your day.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Robin Mind continues after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Robin Mind. Before we went on the break, we were talking about the state of the nation, and right now we want to talk about the men. We're still celebrating International Men's Day. I think from being a man, I think sometimes men don't get celebrated enough. We live in a world where a man is not allowed to express his feelings. We live in a world where a man is not allowed to have emotional outbursts, because it is believed that if you're a man, you're supposed to have the semblance of being strong, have the semblance of being solid, have the semblance of not being shaken at any point in time. But that is not the case, and that is why, if you notice, a lot of men end up taking their own lives. A man is more likely to commit suicide than a woman. So we want to spotlight the emotional pressure men go through. And with me in the studio to discuss International Men's Day, breaking the wall of silence, is a social commentator, Femi Emmanuel. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So when we talk about emotional pressure that men face, what's your interpretation of that?
I'm of the opinion that everyone faces emotional pressure, but because men have been traditionally raised not to be vulnerable, or better still, to see vulnerability as weakness, it now tells more on the mental health of most men.
Right.
Inability to show vulnerability without being counted as weakness. So my thoughts about this is it is how we do it. It is not what you intend to do. It's actually about how you do it. And I hope in the course of our discussion, I'll be able to shed more light on that.
Okay. First of all, can you give us the cultural denotation of what a man should be in the African context?
Great. Before now, men are described based on their physical outlook, their financial prowess, and their strength. That's why back in the days, culturally, they see you as not being man enough if you probably cannot farm, if you probably cannot fish, if you probably cannot, there's this local wrestling, if you cannot participate, and if you don't have muscles. But as time goes by, that mentality remained, but there's a deviation in how men are now being judged. The financial, looking at the physical muscles, that's why you see some people still want to have six packs. Not because they do strenuous thing, but because it's still psychologically work that is fit and strong because he has six packs. Then the farming part, which then used to relate to occupation, now has to do with how much figures you earn. A lot of men have low self-esteem if they are probably broke. Because from time immemorial, your financial status or what you do stands as a definition of who you are. The last part I also talked about is you now probably showing physical strength. That's why back in those days, when you're getting married, they tell you you're training her. Men seldom beat whoever they are married to because it's a show of strength. But in the 21st century, while there's still that psychological demand on men, there's a little twist or shift into how authoritative you sound. You hear things like you sound masculine, you sound confident, or you sound feminine. So it's just that it's still the same, but in different perspectives. So the cultural definition of men has really not changed. But as we begin to grow and things begin to evolve, there's been a deviation in how men are being looked at.
Okay. Do you think there's a need to sort of demystify this stereotype? Because if a man, for some reason, sounds feminine, does it make him less of a man?
Those are some of the reasons. These are some of the reasons why we must continue to advocate. We must continue to enlighten men that one, you are not defined by what you have. You are defined by who you are. Your biological definition, provided you have everything that makes you a man, what your voice sounds like, what your muscles looks like, does not change any of that. That's number one. Another thing we're also trying to reorientate men about is that, see, financial status does not equate who you are, because you can actually be rich in stocks and shares and be zero on cash. So that you do not have access to cash at that moment should not define how you see yourself or how you exhibit your esteem. You shouldn't have so low self-esteem. So these are some of the things we're trying to advocate. Let me also add my voice to this, that men, because of all of this mentality, end up choosing how to show vulnerability, and that's where the issue is. Mostly take to drinking.
Right.
Some take to womanizing. Some take to violence. Some take to addiction of different kinds, just to disguise insecurity. But I'm out here to let men know that, see, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable, but you can now define for yourself how you choose to show your vulnerability. Maybe with time, I can now talk about how to show that.
So again, I understand where you're coming from, but sometimes people might interpret it that it's easier said than done. A lot of men are dying in silence.
True.
You know, how do you think these men should be able to open up? Like, what do you think can help them open up better? Because, it's hard for a man to open up.
True. I agree
Very
with you.
hard.
I agree with you.
So how can we as men start learning how to really break the wall of silence and open up?
Great question. I'm talking from a point of experience. I've been high up there and something happened and it went down flat. If I didn't have a way to push through, then probably because I was obviously suicidal. So I want to share from personal experience so that men can understand how to pull through this. Number one is that now that things are good for you or things are a little bit better for you, is the time to choose your friends. We choose our friends for the wrong reasons. We choose our friends, because we're colleagues, because we're seen in the religious place. If you choose your friends for the sake of vulnerability, it has to do with how much common sense you guys can always talk about, how much things you guys can always talk about without you hitting that vulnerability spot yet. So what I mean is that, who are your class of friends and why do you choose your friends? Because it will end up determining how you pull through later in life. That's number one. Number two thing, again, I like to talk to men about as far as pulling through is that, see, go into journaling. You may not like to cry or speak out, but if you write it down, what you have done is expressing, is the same thing. It's the same thing as expressing yourself. Sometimes it could be in your bathroom that you have to probably speak some of these things out if you stay alone. But if you can, please, journaling is a good way to, you will feel lighter. Because some don't want to talk to someone else because they don't want to be judged. But journaling is a good way to go about it. Now, another thing I always advise is there are songs that are situational. Enough of songs because you just want to shake your head. There are songs that speak sense. That for those, how much of those songs do you have down in your playlist? Listening to those songs it equates to listening to a friend that can talk to you. In fact, it can help you even cry. The music is so loud. And you know, when you are happy, you enjoy the music. When you are down, you understand the lyrics. So in your point of vulnerability, how much of such songs that are inspirational, that can actually speak to your situation, do you have in your playlist? I do that, and it helps a lot. It helps a whole lot. Another thing I want to advise men, again, is look out for someone that can mentor you. Right. Mentorship is really very important. But when you look for a mentor, you are not looking for a ladder out of financial misfortune. That's the problem why many people don't want to mentor others. If your reasons for mentorship is financial, then define it from the beginning. The person may not be willing to help and you can understand. But when it's about someone that has gone through what you are probably passing through and that can help you to help skip certain steps of depression, then you would have really exposed yourself to the best way to come out of it. So have a mentor, otherwise you will be facing tormentors.
I like how you put that. Every man was once a boy. And society has sort of put definitions and limits to what a man should be. And you see that these boys grew up with those limits. What advice do you think men can give to young boys? You know, how do you think parenting also can be improved, especially when it comes to the boy child?
Great question, and I have two great sons, and I'll just share from how I train my sons. Because growing up, even your parents want to shout you down that you can't be crying like your sister. They say such light words without knowing how those words actually mean. So I allow my son to sit down and talk to me. When he's emotional, the right thing I do is I let him sit down. I say, sit. Once he's calm, hold on, you will talk to me. Women, because you grow around women, girls, you want to also do that outburst. But as you now grow, you now begin to find out that you can't do that, and it now cages you. Right. But once you grow with someone that helps you to sit down, calm down, then let you express yourself in a more logical way, you get used to it as you grow. So it's easier for my son to say things like, Daddy, I'm going to talk to you in 5 minutes. I'm still very angry. And it may look like it's not something he should say, but I appreciate it that he understands that he's a work in progress. So once he says things like that, I say, oh, calm down. I need you to be able to express yourself. Then it takes time. That's number one. Number two thing I want to talk about fathers raising their sons is that take time to help them develop their logical reasoning. You know, you don't just tell them what to do. Give them options and let each of those options have repercussions. Oh, choose this or choose this. If you choose this, you may have this, you may not have this. If you choose, so it helps them to understand that there are consequences for actions, not that they run into a problem and they're not strong enough to overcome the problem because they weren't expecting any outcome or expecting any consequence. You must train your sons to understand that everything you do, every decision you make has consequences. Then if you think deeply before taking such steps, then you may avoid the bitter consequences because you already look through all of the outcomes before making a step. So it is more about working on their logical reasoning. Right. You do it by helping them make mistakes that are controlled, then help them understand the repercussions, help them come out of it. You know, with time, they begin to develop that mind and they are able to actually confront whatever thing that comes across them.
All right. Thank you so very much, Femi. Sadly, we're out of time. I know there's so much that we still need to unpack, but to every man out there, just know that it's okay to cry. It is okay to be vulnerable. Please find a community, if possible, find a community of brothers that can also ensure support. Robbing Mind will continue after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Robbing Mind. Before we went on the break, we were talking about how men truly need everybody's support. You know, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, try as much as possible to support the men around you. And right about now, I'm very excited because I have one of my favorite Nollywood actors right here in the studio. She is a filmmaker, she is a movie producer, she is a mother. She wears so many hats and she wears them beautifully well. Ladies and gentlemen, Yvonne Jegede.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great.
Okay. I always wonder, you know, how do you maintain so much beauty when you're jumping from one set to another set? You know, the stress does not show on your face. So.
Well, I thank God.
All right. Everybody has a picture perfect of who you've become, but let's go back in time. Who was Yvonne Jegede before she evolved into the woman she is today?
I was just a young girl born in a village, you know, grew up in the north. A family of 10 children, first of 10. Had aspirations, had dreams, and acting was not particularly what I wanted to do, but here I am.
Okay. So, can you take us through, you know, the process? At what point did you even realize that you were born to do this? You know, even though it wasn't particularly what you wanted to do, at what point did you realize that this is my path?
I think I started having that feeling when I would go on set, right? I'll go on set with my uncle. I think, first of all, I was fascinated by seeing these people I see on TV, on ground, one-on-one. So I wanted to be like them. But at that time, I think I was probably 19, going on 20 already. So, yeah, I think that came much at my later teen years, like from the age of 19 or thereabout, yeah. But it wasn't something that I I wanted to do from like a child, like when I was 7 or 8, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, so but it became a part of me when I realized that I could do so much and I could be whatever I want to be, you know. It's a profession that you can wear different things and be different things at different times, you know. It's a beautiful profession. So
I can tell.
I know.
I can tell. Have you ever had a particular role that stood out for you? Because you've portrayed so many characters. Is there a particular one that anytime you think about it, you're like, okay, yes, I did that?
There's so many roles that I've played that I'm still attached to. But I think the first time I noticed that, okay, maybe acting could be something that was in me, you know, because I have that belief in myself that much. I think it was when, this is years ago, I was in a movie with Kenneth Okonkwo, and I had a scene where I came out from a hospital to seek his help to pay for my hospital bills because the hospital had held me down because I couldn't pay my bills. So I blocked him just by his car in the car park, and I was crying. And when it was time for my CU, then back in the days, just had one camera, you know,
right.
Like now that we have like Black Magic and the rest of them. So we had the Sony camera, very massive, you hold here on your shoulder. So they were taking my CU, and I was crying. He started crying, and he wasn't even supposed to cry in the scene, but he just started crying. So I was very young. I was probably maybe like 20 or 21 or thereabout. And yeah, that was after African Queen. So I should probably be like 21. So yeah, so I think that was when I'm like, ooh, I'm making this old man cry, for real. So yeah, I think that was when I'm like, okay, I think I have this. I do have this. This is something that I would do for a long time.
That's beautiful. You've witnessed several phases of Nollywood.
Yes,
You know, look at you talking about how you acted with Kenneth Okonkwo back in the day. What would you say is different about Nollywood today?
Oh my goodness, it's the beauty of the growth, you know, the evolving of Nollywood. Nollywood has migrated from, you know, different stages, has metamorphosized, you know, just keeps. Nollywood, I think, because of technology of today, you know, with AI and, you know, all these things, I think art is more like layers, like onions. So when something new comes out, you see different things, you know, are able to be achieved, you know, visually, you know, stuff like that. So it's a good thing, you know. We have actually grown. It's beautiful to experience it, and it's even more beautiful somebody like me who has been there for like 20 years, over 20 years, like that. So I've seen the growth. I have seen the growth, and I've seen the margin is huge. You know, people now just don't waltz into the industry like, you know, an apprentice learning the job. You know, back in the days, like the people who sold electronics, who had access to DVDs and stores where people can have access to buy them. So they were the marketers and they were the distributors of Nollywood. But there was the technical part of it, every other part of it, artistic part of it was not involved. It was just about making money for, you know, the people who were running the business at the time. So now seeing that people are actually going to study, go for second degree on art and, you know, acting classes, master classes. People are taking all these things seriously. People just don't write scripts anymore. You have to learn their formats. I didn't even know that. You know, I got a script from somebody and I tried to give it to another scriptwriter to edit it. And he was like, oh, this format is not right. You know, there's a format they use. And I'm like, scripts now have formats? You know, so it's good. It's really good that, you know, there's a lot of seriousness in the business now.
Okay, so now, you just said there's a lot of seriousness in the business. There's a hot topic, you know, what makes the most money, or what platform makes the most money? Is it the streamers? Should we go on YouTube and put out movies? You know, let's talk about the business.
The business side of it. Well, it depends. It depends. Like there's this saying, it's in the money to define money, you know? So it depends. If you do a very, very good film, you put in the necessary work you need to do. You can put your movie on YouTube and you still make your money. You can go to the cinema and still make your money. So there's really no pattern to it. Like I had a conversation with AY this morning, you know, and AY comedian, and he was saying that there was a time that He was like, and I said to him, there was a time that you were the it guy for cinemas, you know, with the Merry Man at the beginning, a trip to Jamaica, you know.
Yeah.
So those are the movies that were topping the cinema back then. But now we have Funke Akindele, so it's like there's growth, there's involvement, you know. There's more people acquiring more knowledge, having more understanding. So you can't really say it's just cinema that makes money, because now YouTube is making numbers. People are making numbers on YouTube as well. So, but technically, I think the distributors have their ways. I'm really not in behind the scene like that, so I can't really tell you what exactly. Yeah, but we've had very massive growth in the entertainment industry, music, movie-wise. Yeah.
Okay. Let's now talk about some of the things that happen. You know, every now and then there's always a viral story about what happens in Nollywood. Of late, there's a particular case of an actor who had told the producer that at this particular call time, you know, at this particular time he has to leave because he has another engagement the following day. I'm sure you know the story. And then, of course, the producer says, you have to finish my project. And a lot of people are divided on that particular opinion. So can you, structurally, you know, is a producer allowed to keep an actor on set if the actor had not completed his time, and if the actor has completed his time and the scenes have not all been shot? Like, how does this work?
To be honest, a producer cannot keep an actor on set because it's not a plantation. The person is not your slave. But what it is most time is that there is a call time for every actor. Now, if you ask an actor to come on set for 8 a.m., you don't expect the actor to work till 12 midnight. Do you understand? I always make it clear to producers, I can only give you 12 hours. Thank goodness I'm over 40, so I can use my age as an excuse. I'll tell you, I'll give you 12 hours. 8 o'clock in the morning, I should be allowed to go home by 8 p.m. Maximum 9 p.m. So if I come on set and we have technical problems, and we don't get to film until maybe like 12 noon, that's not the actor's problem. Because you should have gotten your team together. You should have made sure your cables are working. I know sometimes there are hiccups. Sometimes you have issues like that where you don't plan it, you know. But there are ways where you can relate to somebody because there was an agreement. You come, you work for me for a certain period of days from this time to this time, and then you're allowed to go home. If you haven't finished, it is now my duty to plead with you. I beg. I won't be having Yvonne here tomorrow, and she has 2 scenes with you. Can you please just stretch yourself for me? It's the appropriate thing to do. Do you understand? We have a structure, but it's not enforced. So a lot of things just go wrong, and people just take things into their hands because Nigerians are Nigerians, and sometimes we move mad. But technically and professionally and structurally, a producer cannot ask an actor that you must stay. No, you paid for my time. You didn't pay for my life. Do you understand? I'm also a producer, but I think because I've been an actor for a long time and I started off as an actor, I understand where actors are coming from more, even though it's my money that's on the line. So, yeah, I don't think any producer has the right or the temerity to tell you that you must stay. If you want me to stay, you do the right thing. You either pay for an extra day or you talk to me like a human being.
Right.
You know?
Right. You've just spoken from your wealth of experience, and it's been 20 years, over 20 years. How does that feel, really? And what's the next phase for you?
I feel very young. I feel like I'm 20 years old myself.
Well, you look it, so.
Okay, the next phase for me right now, which is why I'm doing all of this, the 20 years anniversary dinner party and all of that, is because there's so many sides to me that I haven't really explored, because who I am as a person, I'm a little bit of an introvert in an extroverted business. I will go on a red carpet and not walk into the cinema to see the movie and turn around and go home. I'm there because I have to be there, I have to be seen. But do I want people to ask me questions on the red carpet? I want to go home. I want to go home. So it's just basically for me, I have been pushing here and there. So I just rather just do certain things differently. So, but now I'm just ready to show people that, okay, there are so many sides to me.
Right.
So many serious sides, even though I'm very unserious most times. 80% of the time I'm very unserious. Sorry. Yeah. But I have serious sides to me. And my concern for humanity gets bigger, gets, more intense every day. So that part of me, because of the situation that we're in as a society,
right,
there's so many people who have the privilege who are not giving back. And there's so many people who don't have the privilege who are willing to give back. And I happen to be on the fence. I might not be,
right,
on the other end, extreme, the 1% of the 1%.
I see.
But I want to give back. So this whole phase now is for people to know that this is the kind of person I am. Even though I'm an actor, this is how I want to reach out to people.
Right.
So don't just see me as an actress on TV. If you see me, approach me, talk to me, let me know what's up.
Okay.
We are here to be pillars for each other.
Okay.
So that's what all of this is about. I just don't want to be an actress, just cross your leg and wear high heels and look nice. So that's what this next 20 years is about.
All right. So tell us about your latest projects.
My latest projects are my foundations that I'm registered and working on. I'm unveiling on the day. It's Yvonne Jegede Foundation, obviously, but there are three sides to the foundation. The first side is making sure we have education to indigent children, people who want to go to school but cannot afford it. Another side to it is also trying to see how we can, psychologically be support systems for single parents. In that aspect, we're also reaching more children, right, through their parents. And that aside, I have a movie that I'm premiering on that day called Malomo. It's a movie, it's a movie on sickle cell. It's actually a full-length movie, but we have to shorten it into a short film for the purpose of that night so that people can see from beginning to end, in total of what the movie is about. So those are the things that I'll be unveiling, and then also talking about investment as well. I'm going into investment, ideas for people that I'm also working. I have an investment company that we're also working on. It's not profit based, It's just basically for us to share ideas, because there are steps. Well, I'm going to be personal about this. The steps I have taken personally in the past that were just decisions I was making. I did not know that with steps that are going to help me solve some certain financial problems when they come, when they arise. Yeah.
Right.
So being able to solve issues for myself easily in a profession where people come out to seek for help.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not like I have a lot, but I have been able to use my money, invest it wisely, pitch it in different businesses wisely and all of this.
Right.
So these are ideas, it's knowledge, this information that I'm willing to pass out to. So these are all the things that I'm doing.
That's truly amazing. I like how well put together your thoughts are, and I also know that you've been very vocal about certain issues, especially when it comes to issues regarding women. Some people might consider you as a feminist. What's your definition of feminism, and do you think you're a feminist?
I'm a feminist, and I'm not a feminist, right? I'm a feminist because of the purpose why the word was formed in the first place, to make sure there's equality and women get education and, everything that should go right for a human being. Women are not excluded from it. That is why I'm a feminist. You give to this and you give to that. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. That's it. But on the other hand, the feminists we see on social media, I'm not that kind of feminist. I don't have a problem nurturing. Nurturing is part of who I am. So if you can't succumb, can't be submissive, can't be caring, or, because certain reasons that I really don't know where these thoughts come from. You know, I don't buy into those ideas. But yes, I'm a feminist. I stand for women, and I will always stand for women.
All right. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again on your over 20 years in Nollywood. And of course, this is just a starting point. We're wishing you 70 more years in Nollywood. All right, and that's all we have for you today on Rubbing Minds. My name is Hero Daniels. I do hope you've enjoyed the show. Yes, we'll be back same time, same station next week. Bye for now.